Hi everybody, this is Dr. Nigro with a Chem Calculation Screencast. This one's looking at voltaic cells and how to draw diagrams of those cells. Electrochemical cells come in two types. We have our voltaic cells, which we're going to be looking at here, and then we have what's called an electrolytic cell, which we'll be talking about later. A voltaic cell, also known as a galvanic cell, is spontaneous. All right, and what that means is if you put all the components in place, you don't need any extra energy to get it going. So it does not need outside energy to flow. Electrolytic cell is the opposite. An electrolytic cell is set up in a way that it's not spontaneous, which means if you want the electricity to flow, the electrons to move, you're going to have to use outside energy to make that happen. All right, so we'll focus on the voltaic cell, the spontaneous one. And so that means it's going to determine different parts of the cell and how we put it together. All right, when you label these types of cells, there are a couple things you need to do. You need to identify the two beakers, which each contain a half reaction. We call those our anode and our cathode. All right, we're going to include the metal and the ions that will be present as part of those half reactions. All right, we should also identify the solution in each beaker. So at the particulate level, what's floating around within that solution in each beaker. The direction that the electrons flow. I tend to build mine where the electrons flow left to right, so I set them up in that way. The charge on each electrode. So what do we specify each electrode as, positive or negative? If you've seen a battery, you know that the battery has a positive and negative end. So which are those? Is it the anode? Is it the cathode? What's going on at those two electrodes? Under each half cell within our electrochemical cell, you need to identify where the oxidation is occurring and where the reduction is occurring, including the electrons that are transferring. All right. The movement of ions at the anode and at the cathode, and does that are whoops, what we mean there are ions being formed or converted. All right, so that's really what we're talking about there. We'll look at that. And then the direction of ion flow through the salt bridge, and we'll talk about what the salt bridge's role is in the cell. And then finally, you should end it by writing the line notation. This is a shorthand notation to just give you an idea of what's going on within a particular cell. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the two half reactions. All right, we know we have two options. We can have an oxidation half reaction. All right, and an oxidation half reaction is one where electrons are donated. All right, and so what does this mean? It means that the electrons are leaving this particular electrode. All right, and because of that, we have a source of electrons. We give that particular half reaction a negative charge. So this would be the negative end of your battery. All right, and together we call this the anode. All right, for our other half reaction, our reduction, all right, the electrons are used here. All right, and so because of that, the electrons arrive here. All right, the electrons are attracted to this particular electrode, and so we give it a positive charge. All right, and this is going to be our cathode. All right, so, whoops, sorry. One of my coworkers, she gave me this little mnemonic, which I'm going to use it. Again, I like my electrons to flow from the left to the right, which means anode to cathode. And so she said, an ox is a red cat. All right. And so what that means is the anode is first with oxidation, followed by the reduction at the cathode. All right, it's just a cute little mnemonic to help. Don't have to use it. For me, I don't know, I kind of like it. All right, so now let's go down to our example. So here we're supposed to build a voltaic cell that contains lead metal, aqueous lead 2 nitrate, silver metal, and aqueous silver nitrate. All right, so how do you know where the electrons are being produced and where they're being used? Well, this is going to get back to our activity series. All right, the more active metal will be oxidized. All right, and we said above that the oxidation is happening at your anode. All right, so you can use your activity series to identify which metal should be at the anode and which should be at the cathode. And like I said, we tend to go from left to right. So your anode is going to be on the left and your cathode is going to be on the right. All right, at the anode, you should see the oxidation reaction, and at the cathode, you will see the reduction. All right, so we go look at our activity series for lead versus silver, and we find that lead is higher on the activity series than silver. So it's going to be oxidized, which puts it in the anode beaker. So I'm going to have lead on my piece of metal, and then in solution, I'm going to have lead plus 2 ions from that lead 2 nitrate. All right, I'm also going to have nitrate ions floating around in my beaker, so I'm going to put them down there. All right, over in my cathode, I'm going to have silver metal, and then I'll have silver plus 1 ions in solution, again, along with nitrate ions. All right, the nitrate ions are there, but they're just spectating. They aren't participating in any of the redox reactions. All right, so let's look at the oxidation. So I've got solid silver forming lead plus 2 ions and releasing 2 electrons as part of that process. So that's our oxidation reaction. So if I look at the lead atoms within my metal, they are converting into lead ions. And these 2 electrons are flowing up into this wire that is connected to the voltmeter. They do a little bit of work in the voltmeter, which measures the potential difference between the 2 beakers, flow through it, and then flow down into my other electrode. All right, so once the electrons flow into the electrode, I'm going to have 2 electrons coming in, and I'm going to have 2 silver ions that interact with them and form 2 silver solid atoms. All right, so whoops, sorry. Let me move this over just a little bit. There we go. All right, so you can see I had 2 electrons coming from my anode and 2 electrons being used at my cathode. So these are my 2 half reactions, and I can put them together for my net ionic. All right, so for that cathode, that reduction reaction, it's picking up the electrons and forming silver metal atoms. So you can see we're moving from the metal to the ions in the anode and from the ions to the metal in the cathode. All right, now, if we allow our cell to run over time, we're going to see an increase in the amount of lead plus 2 ions and a decrease in the amount of silver ions. All right, and that's going to affect the charge within each of these beakers. And this is where our salt bridge comes into play. So our salt bridge is usually some sort of gel substance that connects the 2 beakers that contains an ionic compound that has been dissolved. All right, let's just, for fun, we'll just say we've got KCl, aqueous, in our salt bridge. All right, as the amount of lead plus 2 ions increases, my anode beaker starts to become more and more positive. And if that continues, eventually the negatively charged electrons are not going to want to leave. All right, at the same time, in my cathode beaker, the silver ions start to decrease in concentration. So this beaker becomes less and less positive, and the electrons won't want to come over here. So eventually, the flow of electrons is going to cease because of electrostatic attractions. The salt bridge's job is to balance that out. All right, so we have 2 ions as part of that KCl. All right, your negatively charged ion, in this case, your chlorine, is going to flow from the salt bridge into your anode to help counteract that growing positive charge from your lead 2 ions. At the same time, your positive ion, in this case potassium, is going to flow into your cathode to help counteract that decreasing positive charge. So the salt bridge job is to maintain an even level of charge within your two beakers so that your electrons will continue to flow. All right. Now, this is not to be confused with the charge that we put on each beaker. All right. Electrons are produced at the anode. All right. So electrons produced here. All right. That means this is our negatively charged beaker because it is our electron source. The electrons move from the negative over to the cathode where electrons are used. And this is our positively charged electrode. All right, so your anode is going to be negative and your cathode is going to be positive, which help explain why we see the flow of electrons from negative to positive. All right, so let's go back up and make sure we did everything. All right, we did identify the anode and the cathode. All right, we identified the solution in each beaker. We identified the direction of flow. We put the charge on for each beaker. We wrote our half reactions under the two beakers. We showed the movement of ions at the anode, which was off of the metal. So we have metal to ions at the anode. And we showed the movement of ions at the cathode, which is ions to metal at the cathodes. We did those. We talked about the direction of ion flow through that salt bridge. And then the last one is this line notation. All right. Generally speaking, you always write the anode and then the cathode. All right. We start with the metal. All right. So our line notation for this particular setup is going to be lead solid. And then we use a single line to represent the phase change to lead plus 2 ions. And then a double line to represent the salt bridge to show the two separate beakers. And then we start with the ions, silver plus aqueous, and then a single line to show the phase change, silver solid. So our line notation would look like this for this particular setup. Now, I should have 2's in here. Sorry about that. Let me slide this over so I have a little more room. All right, because we do have 2 electrons moving per redox reaction. All right. All right, and that's how you do your line notation. Anode, and we do metal, and then ion, cathode, ion, and then metal. Okay? All right, if you have any questions, please let me know.